that out after introductions.
Okay.
So I'm going to kick it off. I'm Michael Udy. I'm project manager for the North Anna licensing application. Today is a Category 1 public call. Members of the public are invited to observe or listen in to today's teleconference and ask the NRC questions at the end of the proceedings, which I will open up the phone lines to do that. I've sent out the agenda. Today's agenda is to talk about some review items ongoing for the COL application. The first item was text consistency with respect to REI 242-15, and then the staff was prepared to give Dominion feedback on October 2nd, 2015 follow-up action items from the recent NRC Audit 1 on seismic issues. And we will have the staff prepared to walk through any comments we have on that list. So unless anyone has any questions, I'll go ahead with questions here at NRC, and then everybody on the line can please identify themselves after the NRC. I'm Michael Udy, project manager.
Manas Chakravarti, structural engineering branch.
Joe Giacinto, NRC hydrology.
Vijay Wang, geotechnical engineer.
Tim Shea, lead project manager for North Anna.
Sonal Park, structural engineer, NRO.
Do we have any...
Sorry.
Go ahead. There's someone from P&L?
Yeah, no, I agree. James O'Neill, ORC, calling from home.
Okay.
And Joe Braverman from Brookhaven National Lab.
Vladimir Greiser, calling from home, NRC.
Okay, is that all for the NRC folks?
This is Philip Meyer from Pacific Northwest National Laboratory supporting the NRC hydrology work.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, Gina, sounds like the ball's in your court for the introductions.
Hi. Thank you, Mike. At Innsbruck, I have Ben Evans, Addison Hall, and John Waddell are with me here in Richmond. Patricia Campbell from GEH is on the line. Has anyone else from GEH joined?
Yes, Skip Shumitz, Taylor Blake, and Lubin Todovsky.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. And then from Bechtel, we have Mike Merritt, James Haldeman, Len Vanderpool, Doug Kemp, Tom Hicks from Excel Services. Craig, have you joined?
Yes, I'm here with Mike.
Oh, okay, great. Craig Talbot is on with us, too. And is there anyone else from Bechtel that I missed? Okay, and then from Floor we have Pete Gaillard. So that is it for us, Mike.
Okay. Are there any members of the public on the line today?
Mute off.
Erica Gray.
Okay, it sounds like we have David Gray and, David Martin and Erica Gray.
Yes, Erica with the Virginia Sierra Club.
Thank you. And Dave, what was your affiliation again, sir? Thank you. Okay, so what I'll do is...
Mute on.
Open up the lines if those members of the public have any questions for the NRC. And I would remind everybody, if you're not going to have any discussion, please mute your phones, because sometimes we get a lot of conversation going through. So I'd request if everyone please do that.
Yes, Michael, this is Erica Gray. I'm not going to be able to stay on the whole call, but I do have a question. So I don't know if maybe y'all have a planned break. When's your planned break? Do you have one today?
It should be a short meeting. I mean, if you know what your question is, then you want, I don't have a problem with you asking it now if you want to get off the call.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and ask it now then, because I do have a question. I did email it to you, but rather late. I just wanted to know what the earliest date for the COLA could be issued, because the last thing I've seen from the NRC indicated spring of 2017. And I was just wondering, that was 2017 for the final safety review.
It's on the website, but a letter just went out May 2017.
So it'll be May 2017 will be the final safety review?
That would be it. That would be the license, right? That would be the final, right? That actually goes to hearing, right prior to going to hearing.
Okay, and then so then it will go to a hearing, and then at that point, then it could be issued the combined license.
Typically, it's about 6 months through the hearing with our other licensees. So you would add 6 months to that, Mrs. Gray.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm sorry for that, but I thought that was a good thing to go ahead and get out of the way. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into today's agenda with Joe Giacinto presenting from NRC.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. As we went through REI 7708 question 020402-15, we noted that there's a new maximum water level for local intense precipitation as discussed, and also updates to the FSAR were included in that response. We accepted that analysis and that response. However, as we went through a little more detail, we noticed in other section of the FSAR and elsewhere, in section 2422, for example, and elsewhere, the old maximum water levels for the local intense precipitation analysis remained, and they should be updated, based on that new analysis in the REI 7708 question 15. And, if necessary, you may want to add a reference back to where the local intense precipitation and or the flood protection are discussed in more detail, and that is, the sections that were proposed to be updated in the REI response, 2423 and 2410. So that basically is what we found in a nutshell, and we just wanted to know how Dominion intends to deal with that.
So this is Gina Boyce from Dominion. Thank you for reviewing the REI and the changes that we were proposing. I think that there might be a little bit of confusion on what the wording in our current FSAR is referring to, and so what we're thinking is we might need to make some clarifications for you, and Craig Talbot, our subject matter expert on this, is going to walk you through the differences between what we did in the REI response and what's in the COLA now, and what we would propose to do to clarify for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, Craig, would you like to go ahead?
Sure, I'll take over. Thank you. What we are proposing and what the intention that we're trying to convey is that the response to the REI was dealing primarily with the sheet flows in the area around in the power block area, and making sure that sheet flows would not enter into safety-related buildings through entrances. And that was the primary focus of the REI and the REI response. The maximum water level per the DCD is 1 foot below the design plant grade, which is at 290. So the maximum allowable DCD water level is 289. Plant grade outside the safety-related buildings is at 289.5, so it's already above maximum allowable DCD water level. So therefore, we're not considering sheet flow depths or waters to be part of what is considered to be the maximum allowable, or the maximum water level, TMP water level. But we're checking the sheet flows to make sure that they're not going to back up and flow through the entrances. And if they're higher than the entrances, then we'll provide protection at those entrances. So, in a nutshell, we're not intending to report those sheet flow depths as the maximum TMP water level at the site, but rather we're remaining with what we had before, the 288.3 or 4 level, whichever it was, I can't remember for sure, and I don't have it right here in front of me, as the maximum water level that is calculated as a result of the flooding in the ditches and the lake and the other areas surrounding it. Then we go back and look at sheet flows and say, okay, let's make sure that these sheet flows can't back up into the buildings, and if they're higher than the design plant grade, then we need to provide protection at those entrances. So what we intend to do is in that section, which is 2.4.2.2, where we begin to discuss sheet flows. That's on page 2-181 right now. In that first paragraph where we start talking about sheet flows, we propose to add some wording in. And the wording would be very similar to this. It may not be exactly this way, but it would say, sheet flows occur above the plant grade elevation of 289.5, and therefore above the maximum PMP water level in the power block area of 288.4. Therefore, sheet flow depths are then estimated at locations where there are flow restrictions and there's potential for sheet flow to pass through entrances into safety-related structures. So that wording we'd already put in there. And then we'd add one more sentence that says, sheet flow depths are only estimated to ensure that sheet flows do not enter through safety-related building entrances and are not reported as the maximum local intense precipitation flood level. That's what we propose to do with that. And we could even break that section out a little bit more to make it more clear, to call it the sheet flow evaluation section, so that it stood out and showed that it was not part of the local intense precipitation maximum water level that we are showing throughout the rest of the FSAR as the maximum water level.
Phil, you want to chime in?
Well, the issue is whether the sheet flow which results from LIP is included as the design basis flood level.
Correct.
So if it results from the LIP, and LIP flooding is part of the design basis, then it seems like it should be reported as part of the design basis and then addressed with flood protection.
The only problem, and I understand what you're saying with that, but the only issue with that is that every single ESBWR plant then is going to exceed the design maximum water level specified by the DCD, because all sheet flows are going to be above the ground, and all sheet flows are already above the design DCD, and so every plant's going to have to take an exception if we report that as the maximum water level.
Well, the DCD, the local intense precipitation is a design basis event which doesn't have an elevation associated with it. The maximum flood level in the DCD is based on either the PMP or maximum storm surge level for the basin area. So I think there's some confusion there.
I don't know that the DCD specifies that. It just says maximum flood level. It doesn't specify that it's from the Lake PMF or the storm surge or anything. It just says maximum flood level.
Well, I believe in the ESBWR there's a footnote in that. Where those came from is the utility requirements document, and if you go back to that, they reference the maximum flood level as due to the PMP storm surge. The local intense precipitation is a design basis event, and there really isn't an elevation associated with it simply because of what you said, that it's impossible for the sheet flow to be lower than site grade because by definition it piles up on the site when it flows off.
Right.
So that, I think, is where we were coming from on that, where we weren't looking for a higher flood level. We were just looking for some explanations and consistency between what you've given us in the RAI and the rest of the
And the distinction there, if I might, Craig, the distinction there is the ESPW or DCD, the sheet flow doesn't apply, but in terms of the design basis requiring flooding protection to protect to that design, the sheet flow would apply.
Yes.
But currently the FSR read to the design basis flood is lower than the sheet flow elevation.
Okay.
So from that perspective, where does the flood protection come in? The design basis is actually somewhat higher, and you're adding flood protection to protect against that.
So you're stating that we can continue to have the design basis flood level be the 288.4?
No. What we're saying is the design basis needs to include the LIP, which includes the sheet flow impacts between buildings. So the design basis should be higher.
Welcome.
But when comparing the flood level to the ESBWR
You've got mail.
DCD maximum flood value, that is based on not on the sheet flow.
It's not based on the LIP, is what you're saying.
Correct.
And where is that clarification in the DCD that we can hang our hat on that?
Yeah, well, that is an issue that we should probably discuss. That's a discussion that we've had, we being NRC and us.
Yeah, we actually went back and with some of the vendors on this in that table of site parameters.
Okay.
And it trails back to the utility requirements document and an agreement in the industry.
Goodbye.
Those parameters. The design basis event of local intense precipitation, there is a value in those tables, but there is no in inches per hour, but there is no
Flood level, right.
There is no elevation associated with the local intense precipitation event specific to the site. So that's kind of what the bottom line what we're saying, and that's so even if you chose a higher sheet flow level, or if you decided to put a higher sheet flow level in the FSAR in agreement with 7708, it wouldn't change anything in your FSAR except that number.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just, there's nothing in that tells me directly that I can just that for the maximum flood level that we report in our conformance table there in section 2, that it doesn't include the LIP. I guess I'm just looking for something that tells me I don't have to include the LIP in that number.
Well, based on past reviews and things that have gone to hearing, you can look through there, and that would be one place to find it.
Okay. If that's what's acceptable to the NRC, I don't have a problem with that, and we can certainly do it that way and make it consistent. We would then raise the design basis flood level throughout the FSAR, but leave the maximum flood level comparison with the DCD at the lower level. If Dominion's in agreement with that.
Well, one issue, the reason, I'm backing up, circling back, the reason this issue came up is because you were calling the sheet flow the design basis flood, the maximum level of sheet flow, which I think is something new to us, and so that's kind of what caught our eye.
Okay.
We would not, if you look back in other applications, you would typically not find that terminology used. So that's kind of where we started out and then started to look at this.
Okay. I'll have to go back and look at that. I'm not sure, but if Dominion's in agreement with what we've just stated there, we can do that.
Gina, this is Mike. Do you want to caucus for a little bit and then resume the call? Do you think you have enough information from NRC to maybe chew on it for a couple weeks and revisit it in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's what I would prefer, Craig, is for us to talk about this separately, have some time, and then get back with the reviewers.
Sounds like they need to think about it.
They need to think about it. Yeah, we'll go back to,
But, okay.
Yeah, I think, real quick, that I think what Joe's saying, and Joe can correct me, but you have your design basis flood level, which is based on things like the dam failure or whatever they have locally, right?
I mean,
Whatever it is.
Maybe.
In your case, it's the lake, or whatever to call the lake, and that would be your design basis flood. The lip is a different evaluation, which then you're protecting the doorways, and you see a lot of the plants, they'll say they're so many feet, they'll have the doorways and they're so many inches above whatever that level, so that it's not affected.
A curb or what have you.
Yeah, whatever you have, a curb, or the older plants, they actually would put up barriers because of, they didn't have this evaluation back in the day.
Right.
I think that's what we're talking about, two different things.
Okay. So again, for clarification, because I just wrote down here that the design basis needs to include the LIP, but you just said that it does not include the LIP.
The LIP is a design basis event with no elevation associated with it. But that doesn't mean, that means you have to take into account flood protection for the sheet flow. That's a given.
Okay, right, I understand that, yes. Okay, so you're saying that the design basis elevation that we report in the FSAR does not include, is not the LIP elevation then, is that what you're saying?
Okay, the design basis flood is not used in the DCD, so let's separate those things.
Okay.
It's called maximum flood in the DCD.
Correct.
So, first of all, let's get that straightened out. So, you could say, and I don't know how you're going to do it, but if you want to say our maximum flood is this at a certain value, that's fine. You could say the maximum water level from the LIP is this.
Okay.
And that's something that would be acceptable, provided we, could look at that and do it.
Okay, and then we would compare the maximum flood level in the DCD to whatever is not the LIP, which would be our Lake Anna water level.
Yeah, because comparing the DCD to the LIP doesn't make any sense, because you can always, every plant's going to have a LIP value above site grade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why we didn't do that. So, okay. I think I understand what you're going down.
And so we just want to make the rest of the FSAR consistent, that's all.
Right, okay. And so wherever we talk about the maximum LIP water level, it should include the sheet flow depth. And wherever we talk about the maximum flood level outside of that, it's based on the North Anna, or the Lake Anna water level.
Okay, so Phil and Mike, I think that the way I understand it is, from what we're understanding, I'm sorry we're not all in one room, it sounds like we are in violent agreement with what you're saying. It's just a matter of getting the terminology straight and distinguishing the different events. But what we'll do is, if it's okay with you, we'll just take this back and we'll caucus, and then we'll get back with you, confirm how we want to proceed as far as clarifying this for you all, and have another call to explain it, okay?
Okay, that works for me. How about you, Phil?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
All right, good. All right.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you for your help. I appreciate it, explaining all that to us. We're good.
So we'll look to hear something tangible back from you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
The next
So in 2 weeks, we'll have a call. We'll finalize we'll present our proposed strategy for addressing it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Joe.
All right, thanks.
Since I'm not involved with the seismic and that, this is Craig Talbot. We're going to go ahead and sign off here.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike and
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, that would be our next agenda item, which would be feedback from the staff regarding the recent follow-up action from NRC Audit 1. It was a October 2nd, 2015 table. Gina, you and your staff had provided us, I believe last week, and our staff had gone through that and have some comments for you. Does that sound like the right approach, is to let NRC walk through those comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so I'll turn it over to Jim and Manus.
Yeah, Gina, so you got my copy. I know I think I just sent it in yesterday. So this is what we plan to do anyway following the audit, was that we're going to, take a look at our going forward task list, and we'll add our comments, and so from there I'll just let Manus go through one by one. I don't think there's a whole bunch. There's a lot. There's enough.
What did you send?
I sent the one from George.
I think it should be marked 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, 13. Right? You sent me that.
Okay.
Is there another one?
October 13th,
No, this is the one
2015.
you sent me.
George.
Okay, that's okay. Just for
You have the
No, that's it.
original markup. Yeah, I got the markup. Do you have the markup one?
Yeah, I have the...
Yeah, we have the markup one. The one I just sent you, I think yesterday, Gina. That's the one we're working off of.
Okay, I think in general the table reflects what we discussed during the audit.
Okay, thank you.
The second one, which is Gen 2, we just wanted to clarify that response spectra of the acceleration time histories.
Yeah, I have a little instruction.
Okay. That's all. And then on the next page, we also said that PCCS, FSAR, just took out the markups, FSAR for the fuel racks and the PCCS condenser, summarizing the evaluations performed and include the correct report revision number. So that's primarily clarify a little bit more. Next page 3, we didn't have any other comments. Page 4, we didn't have any other comments. Page 5, this is the ITAG that our geotechnical group would review that, and we really did not review that during the audit, so we just tried to explain that. This is the S30. Why don't?
This issue regarding to the structural field, and I look at the markup, and they is the proposed new attack for the structural field surrounding seismic category 1 structures. I don't have any issue about that.
Okay. So you can say that this is closed, right?
Yeah, well, this one, okay, hold on one second. You're talking about 030?
Right.
This one is a little bit different. That is one ITAC region, that's right. This one is really about doing SSI and triple SI evaluations, I think, and this one...
Well, Gina, actually, I think that is correct. This was the one that was originally, I think, associated with the soil properties, and we've already submitted that ITAC. I think it is a little bit confusing because we have another ITAC issue on the triple SI.
Yes, that is different.
Okay, so then are we saying this one can be closed out?
Yes, as Wajun telling me that he has looked at it and he found it acceptable, so yeah, it could be closed.
Okay.
That means that one's going back to none?
None, basically none.
So delete our original comment.
Yes, because Wajun looked at it. Next page, page 6, we didn't have any comments. Page 7, we didn't have any comments. 8, we didn't have any comments. 9, no comment. 10, no comments. Now, 11, Sanu, could you explain, what's the comment about?
There is a yellow highlighted
portion, which we believe does not belong here. And instead, we put down a statement below that, which says revised FWSC SSI report to address the issue of a missing reference to specific figures. We looked at the FWSSI report and found that the issue raised there is reflected, and we confirmed the report, the new updated report that captured those issues, which is acceptable and closed. And then we find the parallel issue with the FWSC as